Welcome to Healing Your Families. This is the last in our episode on physical well-being, and I'm honored to have a guest who is very accomplished. She's a master networker, the author of 3 books, and a vodcaster. Her show is Cathy Chat, and she's also the founder of Miracles with Water. Her name is Cathy Weaver. And she's going to talk about the importance of hydration. It's something we kind of take for granted. We think it's so simple. And yet there's a lot more to it. Cathy, welcome.
Emilu, thank you so much for having me. And I mean that with all my heart. Getting to know you over these last few years has been a privilege, honestly, because what you do for families times a million is impacting so many of us. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you, Cathy. And I'm interested always in hearing. I know you're very accomplished. Tell us your story.
Well, actually, I have been interested in wellness since the early 80s. And my personal journey includes not choosing Western medicine techniques as much as loving the Eastern medicine topic, which is usually holistic healing. And that has been a huge interest of mine for quite some time. And every time I hear something new, of course, I research it just about to death. But when I do, I am usually quite thrilled with the results that I get when I continue to dive into whatever the topic is. And for me, the wellness journey for me and my family has been huge. And water is a very large part of hydration. I always share that water is more foundational than food. We can do without food for a while, but we can't do without water for very long at all in order to maintain optimal health. And so think about every single time you breathe, you lose water. So people always say, well, honey, I drink lemonade or I drink tea or I drink coffee and that's got water in it. I eat watermelon, I eat lettuce, all those things. Well, I appreciate that. But every time you breathe, you didn't just lose watermelon. And so you do need to replace it with water. And for me, I wanted to find the best water available. And I searched the world over, if you will, and finally found it. So people say, you can drink out of a garden hose, and you most certainly may. But I wanted to know why there are a zillion different choices of water on store shelves. And I found the answer. There is a difference in water. And I love bringing this to everyone that I meet. And that's why I love networking so much. It kind of came full circle for me.
That makes sense. And, we think of just, well, water's right there, it comes out of our tap, right?
Yes.
We have water, no biggie.
Yes. That is for sure. And I wanted to know the difference. So of course, I am not a biochemist or a scientist at all, but I have definitely learned a lot. And as I said, I dive in literally with both feet because I want to find out the best before I share it with my family and certainly my friends, and now certainly my prospects and clients. And I have been full-time with this particular company for 15 years. And we can DBA our company with Enagic, and my DBA is Miracles with Water. So I'm thrilled to be a part of the Enagic Kangen Water family. We've been around almost 50 years. Which is super exciting for me. And I love to talk about hydration. And as I said, every time we breathe, we lose water. Every bodily function requires water. And so that means to me, it's a pretty important subject. And so one of the things that I do, I'm actually a believer. And so I always say when I'm in a lot of the Christian groups that I go to, did you know that water is mentioned 722 times in the Bible? So if it's important to God, it's important to me. And I want to find the best water for me, certainly for my family, and definitely for my friends and my clients.
And I think one aspect of water not everyone considers is the pH level.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I had to learn the different properties within the pH topic. And our machines these are ionizers, and they're about the size of a coffee maker. They plug into the wall, hook to the kitchen faucet, municipal water supply. And then you have basically a lifetime supply of healthy water. You take care of the machine, it'll take care of you. So what are the different pH levels? I had absolutely no idea why there was a difference. Every time you push a different button on the machine, you get a different level of water, and each level has a myriad of uses. So our machines actually create 2.5 all the way up to 11.5. So pH always equals 14 from a standpoint of optimal. So whatever comes out of the top tube of our machine, the opposite goes out of the discharge hose. So 11.5 comes out the top, 2.5 comes out the bottom. And that was one thing that I did learn. And I thought that piece in itself was fascinating, because we take the inorganic minerals that your body can't utilize at all. And usually it's inorganic as far as chemically induced, and that goes down the discharge tube. And so now I'm able to share with people this water and this technology really does change lives. And that is the part that I love. So guess what? My audience, if you will, is daycare providers. Why? Because most of the time they use, let's not mention names, chemicals to clean and sanitize the toys in their daycare center. In their daycare, if they do home daycare, even if they do school daycare, they usually use chemical cleaners on those toys. Well, then what happens with little ones? Guess where the first place the toys go?
In the mouth.
Absolutely. And I don't want chemicals for myself, certainly, but definitely not for my kids. And so how are we going to clean and disinfect chemical free? That was important to me when I was raising kids. So I wanted to find an alternative to chemicals, and boom, I did. 2.5 pH water is actually stronger than bleach, kills germs and bacteria, but I literally drink it in my demos to show people it's just water. And so if a kid or a pet gets a hold of it, it's just water. But I have used it for hand sanitizer. I always have a spray bottle with me, and this is for real. I have a spray bottle of 2.5 with me all the time. I don't know if you have gone to Chambers of Commerce recently, Emmylou, but everybody is constantly shaking hands. And especially in this environment, I'm like, oh my gosh. So I carry 2.5 in my car. So the second I get to my car, I don't choose to use commercial hand sanitizer. So I literally have my 2.5. All you do is spritz it on. You can either air dry if you want, or just rub and let it air dry. It's just water, but it literally is stronger than bleach, kills germs and bacteria. Now, that being said, if it's stronger than bleach, I would never put bleach on my clothes, especially the bright colors that I always wear. So 2.5 pH water, and I probably shouldn't say it's my favorite, but it's my favorite because there are so many uses with it. You can rinse your mouth. And then, of course, you want to follow up with a different pH level because now your pores have been opened and cleaned out. You want to close them back up with a different pH level. For me, it's usually 7.0 or even 9.5. And now you have all these uses, and we have charts because everybody says, oh my gosh, I could never remember that. And I always say, guess what? The good news is you don't have to. So every different button on the machine, you push a different button, get a different pH level, and you can literally have a lifestyle chemical free. I have not had to use laundry soap in 15 years. And not only the savings I love, but the fact that your blacks stay blacker, they don't get that chalky gray looking color to them. Your towels are fluffier because there's no detergent to mat them down. And so they're more absorbent. They take up more space in your closet, of course, but they are not bogged down with all that detergent. And your jeans, the denim is it's just softer. And it's not softer because of stuff. It's softer because there's no detergent holding it down and making it all stiff. And so I haven't used carpet cleaner in that amount of time either, because you take 11.5 water, put it in your carpet shampooer, and literally let the water do the work. And I love having something else do the work for me. I don't know about you.
Yes, I have heard that water is the most powerful solvent in the world.
Yes.
A couple questions came up as you were talking.
Sure.
So you're talking about the 2.5. That's my understanding. The lower number is more on the acidic end of the pH level, and the higher number is alkaline. Is that correct?
That is absolutely true. Yes.
And that it's actually healthier for us to drink more, to have a more alkaline diet.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Kale, almonds, things like that are alkaline. And so, yes, an alkaline diet is a great idea.
And then, so to do your wash, do you just get some 2.5 water from, you have it in your kitchen sink. So do you just take some 2.5 water and put it in the washing machine? How does that work?
Well, first of all, 11.5 is what I use for laundry because you want to get the detergent out of there, which is oil-based, and the detergent is usually on your clothes. So I always share with my newest clients, if you don't believe me, and you certainly don't have to, I've done it myself or I wouldn't say it, get your sink and just fill it 1 or 2 inches of 11.5 water. Take a towel from your cabinet and put it in there and slosh it around. And what comes off that towel, I promise you, soap suds, gray, weird, funky little filmy stuff. And that's detergent, old, smashed on detergent. That's why your towels get flatter. And that's why they're no longer absorbent. And so I always say, just slosh it around in your sink, see for yourself why this water is different. And the rest of the story is if you take 2.5, you certainly may, as far as hand sanitizer. So you might want to sanitize your clothes as well. So while I'm doing, the company recommends a quart of 11.5. So that's easy to fill. And while the 11.5 is filling, the 2.5 is going down the drain. Well, be sure and save it. I always tell people when the bottom button on your machine is pushed, save both waters because you're going to need one or the other. I guarantee you in a little bit of time, because you're going to go, oh my gosh, my hand sanitizer's gone. And so you'll want to get more spritz for that. So literally you can put, a cup or 2 of the 2.5 in as the washer's filling. If you have a front loader, which many people do now, go ahead and you can even put that in the water softener section, those little top spigots at the very above your machines, basically. But for me, I love having, first of all, a top loader, because then I can actually determine the water myself. So I put a quart, sometimes a gallon, because I love it. And I love the softness and the no detergent topic. And I just put a gallon or so of 11.5 in as the washer's filling. And I'm just telling you what, the other good news is no static cling. Now, why is that? Because detergent is what sticks to itself. So the reason people have to pull their clothes apart is because the detergent is sticking to itself. And so it's all kinds of things that I did not know. I didn't believe it. I will say that I did not believe it. There's no way my stuff can get clean. And from neck grime, underarm stains, things like that, I promise it comes off. And it's amazing to me. Sometimes, depending upon, like if your partner, spouse, person plays golf a lot, and all of a sudden there is a ring around the collar that is not a good idea, you can spritz that with 11.5 because you want to emulsify the grease, which would be sweat. And you don't necessarily need to sanitize that, but you definitely want to clean it off. So 11.5 emulsifies grease and 2.5 kills germs. So it's a beautiful combination. And again, chemical free, rocks my world.
So you're just using water, but you know the pH level to use to get the effect you want. Does
Right.
the same thing work with washing your hair and your skin?
Absolutely. We do have a shower unit, and that's pretty awesome because we ionize in that case. One lady said, honey, I'm not comfortable with electricity in my shower. Well, I certainly appreciate that. Our Anespa, as we call it, our Anespa DX does not have electricity. We actually do the ionization with magnets and ceramic discs. And the little ceramic filter cartridge that's in there, that's what does the ionization piece. It's very amazing to have a spa quality shower right in your own home. And so that feels terrific. It filters out the stuff in tap water. And so when it pours over your body, it's the feeling, spa quality is what we always call it, but the feeling is so incredibly different because most people just get in the shower, get out of the shower, wash your hair, do your thing, be done. But when you have a spa quality shower, it's just like, I think I just want to stay here all day. And it also has a little knob on it, and you can turn that knob, and now you're going to fill your jacuzzi tub or your bathtub, and you do this knob, and now you actually do the shower head. So it's very easy to use, user friendly. And I don't think it even took me, I don't think it took me 5 total minutes to even connect it. You just unscrew the diverter, the valve that's on the top, and put the new one on, and that's basically it. So it's very easy to use, certainly user friendly, and the feeling is amazing. Now, one thing you mentioned pH level, we do have a 6.0 beauty water. That right there is a game changer. As soon as you have been working out, you mentioned earlier that you go on walks with your friends. As soon as you come in and you're just a little bit dry and, oh my gosh, I just need a refresher, you can mist yourself with the beauty water. And it is refreshing, amazing. It's so good for your skin. It rivals any toner out there. And so I feel that just push a different button and you get a different level. It's so phenomenal that this technology is 50 years old. And I still run into people who haven't heard of it yet. So that tells me that my job here is not finished.
And the ideal for drinking would be the 11.5 then?
No, actually the 11.5 and the 2.5 are not recommended for drinking. The machine beeps at you when those are created because you don't want to drink either of those. The reason I mentioned that I drink the 2.5 for demos, and again, not recommended for drinking, is to show people that it's harmless. So if a kid or a pet gets a hold of it, as they would with the chemical, you would end up in the emergency room. You don't have that issue with our water. So we have 3 different levels of water, 8.5, 9.0, and 9.5. And either of those, any of those waters are terrific for drinking. It depends on your own body. Some people can't get past 8.5. It's not a race. Some people want to stay on 9.0. Some people function better when the 9.5 is their choice. It just depends. And everybody says, oh, too much alkaline, too much this. I appreciate all of that. But guess what? Most municipal standards in the United States require that our tap water is alkaline. So if tap water is alkaline and Kangen water is alkaline, why do we need Kangen water? For me, the reason we need Kangen water is the difference in the oxidation, basically the rust on a pipe, how fast a nail rusts once you put it in water, that's oxidation. When you cut an apple in half, how fast it turns brown, that's oxidation. I don't want to oxidize, so I want antioxidants, and Kangen water is loaded with those.
Well, aren't there also a lot of minerals and metals in our tap water? I know that's a concern.
It's a concern for a lot of people. We do need water, municipal water supply for our machines to function. So luckily, we always say that we take your safe water and make it healthy. We don't cure, treat, diagnose anything. This is just water. But the best news for me is the results that we've had with many of our clients has been amazing. They had no idea that you could clean and sanitize your home chemical free. They had no idea that when you drink this water, you don't have a tummy ache afterwards. Some people don't feel well after they drink water that comes out of a plastic bottle. There's chemicals in the plastic, so that could be the issue. Some people don't feel well after they drink, chug a nice big glass of tap water. Could be the chemicals. It all depends on the person's body. And like I say, when I found this technology in 2008, skeptic, Emmylou, I shuddered to think the research I did and the questions I asked my poor sponsor. Oh my gosh. The good news is he was incredibly patient, but I literally was like, but hang on, but what about, but, and so I was just that way the whole time. And all of a sudden I said, I need to taste it, which everybody says that. So I, of course, tasted, I said, this tastes like water. And he goes, it is water. And I said, okay. So the next thing you know, I got my machine. The rest is history. And I have been able to bless families across the globe, actually, for these 15 years. And I would not give this business up for anything in the world.
Well, I didn't realize that you could, I knew that water was the most powerful solvent, but I always had that mindset. You've got to have some kind of soap there to really get it clean. So it's fascinating to hear this, that you don't.
Mm-mm.
But, a lot of people who are dissatisfied with their tap water are buying the bottled water, thinking, here's the answer. Here's my bottled water. Now, what's the challenge there?
Well, the challenge for me, first of all, is many times it's purified by reverse osmosis filtration. If you Google, and just go ahead and Google it, if you Google reverse osmosis water, the synonymous term is distilled. We've been told for years when grandma was putting distilled water in her iron that you're never supposed to drink that water. So if reverse osmosis and distilled are synonymous terms on a Google search, do the math. The rest of the story is I want to be able to drink water that makes me feel terrific, and I found it. Now, one thing I did want to mention, summertime in USA, I know it's wintertime in Australia and some of our friends in other continents right now, and they're freezing to death. I'm on calls with people during the day and they're huddled up in little jackets and I'm sitting here dripping because Kansas City is so hot right now. But it's always funny to me when your business is global, you can go anywhere. So all of a sudden I say things like, right now, the produce from farmers markets in your area is gorgeous. You spend a fortune on this fabulous bounty, and then you take it home and rinse it in tap water. So guess what? Most tap water, I've never heard of any that is, but most tap water is not organic. So you just spent all that money to get organic produce and you rinsed it in tap water. So now, did chlorine infiltrate the fibers of the carrots, of the lettuce, of whatever else you purchased? And so guess what? Our 11.5 emulsifies grease, as I mentioned. It even gets the wax off of apples, chemical free. So now the flavor of this fantastic produce is incredible because you don't have, and that, no, mine's organic. I appreciate that, but there's still free radicals in the air. So guess what? Even when we rinse organic produce from a farmer's market in 11.5 Kangen water, we have still gotten stuff off, and it's amazing. So even from the air, we've got chemtrails going on. How many times do you see planes fly over your house? You're close to an airport. You're even near other little flights, flight patterns, things like that. You look outside, you see an airplane go over. Oh, isn't that so cool? Oh my gosh. Chemtrails all over the place because there's chemicals, jet fuel. Are you kidding me? How did you protect your farm, your garden from that stuff? I don't know. So the good news is we can even get the wax off of apples, rinse it in 11.5, one of my favorite waters. 2.5 is still my stellar because I love so many things that it does. But every water that we have, we always give a chart to our new clients because they're going, how can I remember all this? And I have literally, it's printable. And I always say, get the cabinet closest to your machine and open it up and just stick it right there. So every time you go, what was that again? Open it up. I always put on there which button to push, what water to make, and what it could do for you.
So it's safer than the bottled water that we're buying, thinking that's so healthy. Well, and some of it's labeled Mountain Spring, but how safe
That's
is
one of those things. I would never say safe because we take your safe water, which is tap water, municipal water supply, your safe water, and make it healthy. If you feel that bottled water is safer and you don't have a problem with the plastic contaminants, or you buy water in a glass bottle, all of those things are up to you. All I know is I have found a much less expensive way to get water that I know, and I can test it. I've got charts and graphs and drops and machines. I've got little meters that I can test it with, and I've done that. So safer, I suppose, would be anybody's guess at this point. What kind of water goes into the bottled water? I have no idea.
Well, and what is leached out from the plastic too? That's what where I was going.
Oh, absolutely. And I suppose people would have to put that in the chemistry lab and actually get that figured out. That's not a good fit for me either. As soon as you drink out of an open container, okay, like you've got a glass of water and it's an open, it's not a lid. I always have my bottle with me, as a matter of fact, and this is stainless steel, of course, not aluminum, and it's always airtight. So I keep the properties of my Kangen water as original as possible from the minute ago that I just poured it. And so as soon as you have an open container, all the free radicals in the air, regardless of whether or not you have an air purifier or any of that, especially if you're outside, then the next thing you know, the free radicals take over and just mess with the antioxidants of your water. So I always have airtight, and it's always stainless steel. Some people do glass. I'm not coordinated enough for that, and I can't be trusted with glass. So I would be concerned if I had a glass bottle at that point. But I do say that we take your safe water and make it healthy. If you feel that bottled water is a good idea for you, that's fine, but please do your research. And bigger than any of that, how much are you spending? And again, we have charts for that. And by doing the math, if you drink a gallon a day, that's 128 ounces. If you drink a gallon a day, how many bottles of water equals a gallon times 7 days a week times 52 weeks a year? I guarantee you we can save you money with the Kangen machine.
Not to mention all of the used bottles, which go where?
And that's a good point. One of my friends actually buys cases, and I'm talking 17 to 20 a week cases of bottled water. She had to call her sanitation company and get a second recycle bin. Yes, that costs money. And just to have them pick up 2 instead of 1 almost tripled her bill because of the inconvenience for them. And so now, and I said, all the bottles that you're buying, first of all, where are they going? Second of all, what's the water doing for your family? Bones, hair, skin, teeth, organs are things to keep an eye on if you are drinking some of those things. And now the next thing you know, the recycle bin overflowing every time, and now you have to buy a second one and have the service amplified. It's not a good fit for me. We can save you tons of money.
Good point. Good point. So you've written books. The 3 books you've written, tell us about those. Are they about hydration?
Actually, no, none of them are about hydration, ironically. So I started my Miracles with Water company in 2008. And again, it's a DBA, and I'm thrilled. Miracles with Water was a great fit for me because I got to see the miracles that happened with this water and this technology. So I was networking everywhere I could to share this with everyone. Chambers of Commerce, ladies groups, Christian women's luncheons, everything I could think of. And people kept saying, my gosh, you are absolutely everywhere. And I said, well, I love networking, and I definitely love my water technology, and I love meeting people. And the more people I can help, I do think that we're put here for a purpose. And the more people I can help, here we go. It's a great fit. So they said, would you speak to my group on networking? And I was like, speak to your group on networking. Well, I guess I could do that. So I would just do little tips. Always wear your badge on this side. Why do you wear it on this side? Because when you shake hands, if you forget the person's name for the 400th time and they've got their badge on the correct side, you can kind of follow your hand right there, and it doesn't look like you're automatically looking for their name badge. So there's all kinds of little tips and tricks that I do, the in-person, what's in your networking toolbox. And so all of a sudden I would just do my thing, 30-minute keynote kind of deal. And the next thing you know, oh my gosh, that is amazing. Do you have a PowerPoint? Do you have a book? Do you have they'd go through this whole thing. And I was like, no, I don't. How are we going to remember all this? And I just thought, huh. And so in 2012, God laid it on my heart that I needed to write a book. Sit and write your book. So Networking on Steroids was born in 2012. And literally, I wrote it in 2 days. He wrote it in 2 days. And I sent it to the lady who does my graphic design. And I said, honey, I think I actually just wrote a book. And of course, I'm sure she's like, oh my gosh, what is she coming up with now? And so I sent her the manuscript, as you're supposed to call it. And all of a sudden, a few hours later, she writes back and she goes, yep, you did. And so she dolled it up, graphic design, did the cover. She's a genius when it comes to all things art. And that was published again in 2012. I had it on Amazon for several years. And the only reason I canceled recently is because I have now recorded all 3 of my books on my YouTube channel. And so there was no point in having people even buy the book on Amazon when they could certainly get it for free on my YouTube channel. Then in 2017, our super duper friend, Delinda Lane, is one of my coaches. And so we were in a group coaching class. Tell me your story, tell me your story, tell me your story. And I said, no, I don't want to tell you my personal story. I want to talk about water. She goes, well, that's not what we're here for. And I said, well, I don't want to tell my story. So the other 2 girls did. Oh gosh, tragic, like, oh my goodness. And then she finally goes to me, it's your turn. Oh my gosh. So I shared a little bit of my grief journey, death and dying and survivorship, things like that. She said to me, you need to write a book about that. And I said, who would read it? And she looked right at me and she said, that's not your problem. And I was like, wow. So she convicted me to write that book in April of 2017. And it was published July of 2017. And I gave her the first copy. And she was just like, oh my gosh. And it's called He Hit the Clouds Running and Never Looked Back. And within that book, I also created postcards that are what to say and what not to say when someone has died, because some of the things people say to make themselves feel less uncomfortable are just a travesty to the people receiving the message. And then during the pandemic, all of my Chamber of Commerce and all of those things, of course, halted. So how am I going to possibly network the way I have accelerated over those years to promote my water business? And so Networking on Steroids PQ, which stands for Post Quarantine, was born in July of 2020, how to navigate these Brady Bunch squares so that we can all learn how to build relationships on a screen. So they're all on my YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel is Cathy Weaver KC.
Cathy Weaver KC. And the KC is for Kansas City?
You bet. Yeah.
I remember your explanation that Cathy Weaver is a common name. Somebody else already had, so you just added the KC that identifies where you're from.
Absolutely. And I do a lot of posting parties, 16 a month now, as a matter of fact. And so I help people with their LinkedIn profile. So I was going to be all cool and save my URL on LinkedIn for Cathy Weaver. So I just went up there and did what I tell people to do. And there's a million, zillion, trillion Cathy Weavers out there. And so I couldn't have Cathy Weaver taken. And I was like, it can't be taken. That's me. And so I thought, what am I going to do now? And so Cathy Weaver, what? Cathy Weaver Congan, Cathy Weaver Midwest, Cathy Weaver CEO, Cathy Weaver, what? And so I went, Cathy Weaver KC. So that's my name on all of my social media platforms, and it's consistent and no one else has it nicely. And so it actually worked out to be a blessing in disguise.
Wonderful, wonderful. So people can connect with you on LinkedIn. They should definitely check out your YouTube channel.
Thank you.
I subscribed.
Thank you very much. I subscribe to yours too.
Oh, all right. So Cathy, thank you so much for coming. Do you have any other message you'd like to share?
Well, I did. First of all, thank you so much for having me and inviting me to talk about wellness. I love, love, love what this water technology can do in schools and certainly daycare facilities. And like I mentioned before, when there are spritzing chemicals around, the kids are the floor cleaner, the maintenance staff, people like that, they're spraying everywhere. I always think in terms of, oh my gosh, there is a less harmful way to do that. And one of my veterinary clinics here in Kansas City, actually, that was the reason that she got her Kangen water machine, is because the chemicals that they were using in the veterinary clinic were affecting the sinuses, not only of the staff, of course, but of the pets that were coming in to be overnighted. And so I said, well, I personally don't choose to use chemicals, and you won't have to either. So she got the EPA chart and all the different things that we offer when people are asking technical questions. Now we can help pets, we can help people, we can help kids, we can help the planet. And to be a sustainability company, green living, chemical free, rocks my world.
Absolutely. That is wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you again for sharing this. I don't think this is common knowledge. You shared some gems that I didn't know before. So
honestly, thank you very much. I appreciate being here.
And to my listeners, thank you for joining, and join me again next week at the same time. Until then, love yourself and love your families. Let's make the world a better place by strengthening families. This is Emmylou Penrod with healingyourfamilies.com.